because the progress claim has not been reported, or Sumigita has not sent an invoice for this. That the witness verified only the monthly invoicing that is included in the claim report as invoiced by Sumigita Jaya. In this case, the person names is Shaful and Nala Indrasena, and Kriston Aditonang as the project controller from Tripatra Fall, and Muklis as the construction representative or the supervisor from CPI, so they know the actual condition on the field. And witness never compare this with the actual condition. So after they sign, then witness will sign. So the disbursement of payment, the vendor will send an invoice to SLS PT CPI, and then to manager of SLS witness, and then to the compliance department CPI, and then finally to the accounting department, and directly to Russell J. Larson as team leader of SLS Minas PT CPI. And the work that can be invoiced include hauling in, hauling out, and bioremediation, also other activities set forth by the contract. And upon completion, close-out project will be done by EMS, and this is going to be reported to BP Migas, referring to verification that witness reports to based on the EMS team report. And the payment to Sumigita has been done in phases, in phases, and the data about the payment to Sumigita will be given to Finance Department of CPI, and this is included in the financial report to BP Migas as the cost that CPI has already paid to the contractor, and it's going to be calculated against the cost recovery after subtracting from the costs spent by CPI. So no objection from the defendants. And 26, Widodo, in 2006, he knows that Herland, as the director of Sumigita, he worked as co-rep as SLS, and he knows Herland Bin Ompo as the director of PT Sumigita Jaya when they were both in the detention center since August up to now. He was the team leader of waste management in Duri, and his duty was as field construction is to make sure that all the field activities are in compliance with the contractors, with the safety principles applied by Chevron toward their contractor. And in this case, he also does verification of the work done by Tripatra, including the bioremediation in Minas, so that it complies with the content of the that has been approved by management of Chevron. Also to make sure that the work that is done by contractor on the field, PT Tripatra, has complied with the existing regulation. Okay, we will continue. In doing that, the work, the witness is accountable for and also report to team manager. At the time, it was Mr. Clinton Scoot and Mr. Damian Stice. That the scope of bioremediation work in general includes survey, digging, and excavating, and also to provide access to clean the COCS and to transport from stockpile to processing feed at SBF, and also transporting of the land that has been treated to the restorative area for spreading area. And according to what he knows, bioremediation that has been done by CPI since 2003, done by resident contractor, including the subcontractor Tripatra, PT Tripatra, PT Rekayasa Industri, PT Sumigita Jaya, and PT Green Planet Indonesia. that the relation between him and the defendant director, and that is related to contract 78. Okay, so witness has been assigned by his superior as the representative of user to attend the procurement project, and he is on the RAP team with the manager Sujono Adimulyo, where at that time RAM was a department that handles bioremediation work, in which the witness is the implementer on the field, but on the 1st of August 2008 he was moved to SLN. And that the activity that he participated in the contract process was to attend the pre-bid meeting, in which he, as the representative of the users, provided clarification to the bidders about the condition of the field, like for example for COCS. And the explanation that he provided in the pre-bid meeting on the 24th of January, he gave explanation of the technical matters on the field, and was also attended by defendant's company Sumigita and also other bidders. That then for other activities related to contract 786, okay, what he participated is the establishment of IAPS. The price was established by Damian Tais, his superior to 28th of February, and it was signed by Damian Tais and Sujono Adimulyo. That when the contract was implemented for bioremediation, he was not involved anymore. But they civic did not use but they use indigenous microorganism. PTJPI did not use any chemicals in bioremediation, but they use urea organic substance to keep the normal TPH to optimize the growth of degrading microorganism. That PTGI did bioremediation using XC2 and land farming methods. That he signed own estimate that he signed 28 of with the value of 2.608.57 US dollars related to contract number 7801. Okay, that witness knows that Sumigita Jaya proposed to do bioremediation work on the 4th of February with the proposal amounting to 6.2845 US dollar related to contract 781. Okay, that witness used AIPS related contract together with Damian J. Tais and Sujono Adimulyo as the manager of RAM and also the head of the procurement committee. And the witness has the evidence related to document, and it is a tender for bioremediation service contract tender number 681 SK December 2007, and also proceedings for the tender and vendor evaluation technical tender number 7861 SK as 11 February 2008. So all documents were signed by him as the core reps and also representative of the user team. And the response from the defendant is toward this testimony, he did not have any objection. And then Kuku Kertasafari Estate, he did not know the defendant. And the year 2009 up to now, he is a team leader for production 5 and 6 in Minas, PT Chevron Pacific Indonesia. And his duty as a team leader production Minas for Chevron Pacific is 1, to conduct supervision, and 2, lead and also to provide direction. to all the group heads to operate the equipment in Area 5, Area 6. And the second, to give Vrida from the well, and also to the Area 6 and 5 and 6, and also to separate Florida at the station for gas and water, and to send the oil to the primary pipe that he does not know about bioremediation, but he knows that bioremediation is aimed at rehabilitating COCS using biological method. And he knows that there has been a spill of Urida in Area 5 and 6, and he reported that to infrastructure team, which was headed by Russell J. Larson, SPF, and then FDF team did the process. They took the sample from the COCS, and that related to the location of production, Area 5 and 6. There was bioremediation facilities, which include one unit in Area 5 with SBF 4C57, one unit in Area 6 with SBF GS6 Roman 6. That witness knows that the bioremediation project that is done was of Sumigita Jaya based on the access control or book for guests to GS5, in which you can see the name of Sumigita Jaya printed there. And he also saw the representative of the workers using or wearing uniform of Sumigita, and was reported to the meeting of ACE team. And he did not know the source of the soil transported by the trucks of Sumigita, and he didn't know whether it was contaminated soil or fresh soil. He only knows that there was this transportation activities in the Area 5 and Area 6 Minas, and that in the event of oil spill, then the operator on the field will turn off the flow of oil that is connected to this leak pipe, and then maintenance team will be notified about this, so repair can be done. And he also reported this to the infrastructure team headed by Russell J. Larson, and SBF then took the process to take sample from COCS. That from the first activities related to the transporting of COCS in 2009, when he was the team leader of the production 5-6, he was assigned from the manager of production, who was at the time Reno Groho, to facilitate from related teams from Chevron in handling COCS, and that is the representative from policy, government, public affairs, and then environment department and laboratorium, and the ACE team is in charge of following up the complaints from the society about pollution, and the second one to accompany visitors, especially from the Ministry of Environment, and how ACE team follows up complaints from the society about environment pollution. So PJPA complaints is discussed by ACE team, and then the representative from the SBF will conduct a survey and also to do a mapping on the area that is suspected to be contaminated, and then ACE team will wait until the land is cleaned, and should there be any progress, then SBF will report this to every meeting to H team. and that COCS actually comes from the pastime operation, that the contaminated areas in Minas, there are 161 locations, while the locations that have been cleaned is 62 locations. And in the year 2009, as the representative from SPF, it was Suwarno, and 2011 it was Muklis. And that once the witness was assigned with additional work by Adi Nugroho, there were already contaminated area, but he forgot it about this. But in the last meeting, there were 161 locations spread out in Minas area, and from these 161 areas, not every locations was in area 6 and 5 and 6, but all are spread from area 1 up to 6. And from these 161 locations, 32 have been cleaned according to the update from REM Division East team. The defendant said that he had no objection toward this testimony. 28, Joko Waluyo SAAK. So in the year 2008 up to 2011, the witness was one of the accountants of Chevron in Jakarta. His duties and responsibilities as a part of the accounting team from CPI, he transferred to vendors through handbagging system. He transferred them payment for invoices which have been processed by account payable for all the payment that CPI had to make. And the home banking mechanism transfer, first you would withdraw the data from the system for all the invoices that have been processed and approved by group leader, be it in Jakarta and also in Mumbai. And the second withdrawal of the data is done on a daily basis, and third, after the data is withdrawn and the confirmation in the form of Excel is forwarded to each of the group leader, the team managers and team leaders. And fourth, after confirmation is obtained, the data will be approved by the lead treasurer. After approval by reader treasury, then transfer is activated using home banking system with the process of payment 1 day in advance for employees and 2 days in advance for vendors. And according to the data from May 2012, the total amount of money transferred to Sumikita Jaya for the contract 781 OK, with the amount of contract 6.872982 US dollar. What has been paid is 6.6 million US dollar. So for the payments of the contract COC901, the value of the contract 7.1 full stop for one what has been paid is 211,321,317. The total payment is 6.900. 6 million US dollar. So the division done cost recovery is team reporting at CPI, and then the response from the defendants, there was no objection. 29. Masnali Hilman, Masnali Arti Hilman, MSc. In October 2010 up to now, the witness was in the head of Deputy 4 for the management and treatment of hazardous waste, and her duty is to supervise the treatment for hazardous waste as set forth in Decree number 128, and that is to establish policies and to coordinate the implementation of policies for the treatment of waste, hazardous waste, and also waste, and also to supervise analysis and evaluation for reporting about activities in relation to waste treatment, and also to do other works given by the Minister of Environment. And the basis for waste treatment is law, and then also ministerial level, and also license for treatment, waste treatment, and also another ministerial decree. CBI, in doing this treatment for hazardous waste, based on the related documents, and also, and that is the license to treat the hazardous waste, and also to clean COCS, and also to supervise the treatment for toxic hazardous waste. And the reference is law number 32, 2009, and government regulation number 16, 1999, concerning the treatment of toxic hazardous waste, and the ministerial regulation related to licensing. For licensing, the government, the corporation has to comply with technical and administrative requirements, and has to be through one gate. And if it is eligible, it will be evaluated by Deputy 4, and data will be evaluated by inviting PTCPI to do the evaluation with the expert team, because technically it's not regulated. Then if site verification is necessary, then it will be done. And based on the requirements for technical and administration, according to Ministerial Decree number 128, the waste that has to be treated are included in government regulation number 19, and the reference number of the waste as set forth in so the waste that has to be treated by PTCPI. This is in government regulation number 18, 2009. The license that has been given to Minas, the license include for Minas, Limbo, Kota Batam, and Mutiara. And for the permits in Kota Batang, the ministerial decree number 136, 2007 to 27th of February, and it ended 27 February 2009. An extension was applied to the Ministry of Environment to have extension, but KLH asked for the analysis for environment first for Minas and also for Mutiara, and the same thing is the reference, that is the ministerial decree in March 2006, and it expired in March 2008, and application for extension in March 2008 using the same letter. KLH asked that the analysis for the environmental impact have to be submitted to, and for all waste producers, they are obliged to report to KLH about the types of the waste that they produce at least once in 6 months. And the location, for the location, it is defined by GPS, and for CPI, the locations for the contaminated areas, there is a map for this. and that PT CPI reports and presents to KLH related to COCS everywhere with GPS according to the ministerial decree number 2033, and from the TPH level, the concentration level, TCAP, and evaluated by the staff and also experts, so that KLH can see which areas can be bioremediated. According to witness, there are 111 locations which not bio-treated. So for Minas, as date 77 6A31 6A35, KLH asked CPI to support with the documentation about the wells to know whether contaminants are still there. And in the year 2011, CPI related to the license, based on the Ministerial Decree 33, they have to do the recovery, and they plan to do this, and technically it can be isolated and where the waste should be treated, because KLH asked to be treated in SBF so that the contamination can be prevented to spread out while the license extension is still under process. And related to the license by KLH, there are procedures to treat, and also about the documents that determine the location. This is one inseparable part. So the documents submitted by CPI will be verified, and staff also do the checking on the site. And documents related to the sources of locations, this constitute one integral part with the license issued by the KLH, because in that license there are locations of the COCS that will be treated as attached in this license. And between 2008 and 2011, bioremediation work that was done by CPI about evaluation by the team and expert, as the recovery team knows about this better, that the procedure is included in the annex to the Ministerial Decree 128, that witness did not know about this SOP of the CPI. Who knows is the staff of the witness. The witness only looks at the guidelines under Ministerial Decree number 128, that the permit was given to CPI, but if a third party was involved, then this is under the responsibility of CPI, because this is related to analysis of impact for environment. And KLH evaluates bioremediation based on the report that they receive once in every 6 months. And if the work has been completed and they report it to KLH, they are not obliged to take sample of the bioremediation work. When the license is issued, it will be asked about the material used and how the treatment was done, and at which laboratory testing was done, and about the type of bacteria used by the CPI. The witness cannot explain, because it's there in the document. That related to the expired license, because in the recovery there is isolation, then the governing regulation is the Ministerial Decree number 33, 2009, that SPPLT, that declares that there is no contamination anymore. This was signed by the witness SLPATT. This is part of the recovery according to Ministerial Decree number 33, where that SLPLT is part of the recovery or rehabilitation, in which there is the licensing for treatment, that if it is technically eligible, then treatment at the SVF can be done as SPLT. That was signed in March 2012, and there was before that there was this license for treatment, but SLPLT is part of the planning to transport the COCS to a safe area for treatment, and that the treater has to have an expert and also that. But witness did not know about this. That reports about bioremediation was verified by staff on the site before a witness was in the position of deputy for, and verifier at the time was Adelina between 2008 and 2009. After that, a witness. After that, there was a proper evaluation, and about the licensing was already ongoing, but there should be analysis of the impact. And 2010, PT CPI said that they are going to do the recovery or rehabilitation. 2011, the AMDAL or the analysis of environment was already issued. It was done by Hari Fikri Anidas, and it was a recommendation. And the license was for 5 years after the endorsement of the ministerial decree, 3rd of April 2012. That verification by the staff of the witness was done on 13th of July 2011 up to 15th July 2011, and then 15th of August 2011 up to 9 August 2011. While for the license, 2011, actually in 2009, CPI already asked for the license. May 2012, CPI has already complied with the AMDAL requirements, and there was a meeting between CPI and also the field team and expert teams that KLH conducted a site visit. They also checked the documentations, and because they were all verified, KLH did not feel that they had to take the sample, and they received the data that they have already evaluated, and they have done the cross-checking against compliance with the requirements from KLH. And the third party is not obliged to have a license, because KLH see that CPI is the producer of the waste. Then the license is given to the producer of waste, which treats the waste if it is outside the area, then a license has to be asked. And that's so for a third party that treats the waste outside the producer, then they have to apply for a license. That the license is given related to who is responsible, related to AMDAL. We have AMB and other licenses, and KLH is not or did not do this sample taking, but they only received the data from CPI. A response from defendants toward the testimony of the witness, the defendant did not have any objections. 30. Bakhtiar Abdul Fattah. He was the general manager of Sumatra Light South from the 1st of April 2009 up to 31st of August 2012. And the scope of his work is to head SLS department and to manage the assets that is located on the south area, including Minas, Kota Batang, Pakta Paham, and Lindai, which are located in Riau province. When he was in the position of general manager, Sumatra Light South, he was in charge of bioremediation work that was included in the business plan, and it was continued with the contracting plan, and then a contract was issued, C9915, using direct appointment method. that when he was in the office as general manager, Sumatra Light South, there were 2 projects that were there in Sumatra Light South, namely for the first project, the project 781 OK, with a value of the contract 6.2.8, 86.2, and that was implemented August 2008. At the time, the witness was not a general manager of SLS, but to his knowledge, the bioremediation work was bidded, and then after that there was a bridging contract C90561 when he was general manager of SLS. As was mentioned above, and direct appointment was done because of the limitation of the time, and the new contract was not there, and he signed the contract number C09 for the validity of 6 months. That the reasons for the projects to be done through direct appointment include the ongoing contract would be expired, the value spent already 88% of the value of the contract, and the estimate for the contract value that was it will be expired by the end of August 2012. Second, because of the procurement for the procurement of the contract that has could only be finalized in December 2012, and because Chevron has the obligation to continue bioremediation project as a commitment to comply with Ministerial Decree 128, because otherwise Chevron cannot do the bioremediation work. So contract is necessary, and that the one having the authority is the procurement committee to do direct appointment. As general manager of SLS and vice president of Sumatra Light Operation, the one appointed to do the contract work C59 Sumigita Jaya. The general manager SLS before witness is Yantos Yanipar, that the method used for bioremediation for C59 is based on the contract's value before, that the type of the work under bioremediation work C59661, a site survey for the location where the oil spills is there, and also digging, and also to transport the COCS to SBF, and then bioremediation will be done at SBF, and then the result will be transported to a spreading area upon approval by KLH using the map for the spreading area, and for the Annex 1.6 in the contract about the qualification for personnel and substances and equipment that was established by Burbatina de Kusuma, the procurement committee, supported by the field implementing team. And when the contract was proposed to witness, there was no attachment about the actual prices, but according to the procedure of signing the contract, the form F135 was attached, and there was an approval of the contract signed already by Budiono as a specialist for purchase, Yosi Prakasa as team leader for the contract, and Bhagawan Isawayudi as the contract category manager. and manager Mr. Eko Prayamoko from legal department Timur Huta Barat from as finance manager, and Russell J. Larson as infrastructure and management, and Kasim as reliability and maintenance manager. After the supporting documents are all complete, then the witness signed the contract, and as included in the contract C905516, the attachment on page 3 for the first point, the volume estimated to be treated of the waste is 25,876 meter cubic, but he could not calculate the cost for 1 meter cubic, but he could explain that the cost as contained in the contract C905516 is amounting to $18 per cubic meter. Sorry. So if it for further clarification, technical team can answer this. For payment of bioremediation project done to Sumigita as the contractor can be seen at the contract C905616 on page 35, which stipulates that contractor has to send an email, an invoice, and the contractor has to include all the information in all the invoices. The following information: the first one is the title and the number of the contract, and then the account and then the invoice amount, and the invoice payable, and then the value-added tax, and also other taxes that apply to this contract, and the registration number of tax payer of the contractor. And for each invoice, contractor has to provide detailed explanation that satisfy the company to support the invoices, including timesheets and also detailed expenditure, and also third-party invoices, and also the details of the cost that are reimbursable, and also other information. And toward this testimony from the witness, there is no objection. And an expert testimony, Edison Effendi. So he is currently extraordinary lecturer at OPN Surabaya, and before he was lecturer at Trisakti University, and he teaches bioremediation, biotechnology, and the background, the master's degree bioremediation, PhD degree bioremediation, and 5 times he was speaker related to bioremediation, be it at the national level, ITB, Bali, and also at international forums. And since 1993, he was already in bioremediation studies. The methodology that he used for this case is a methodology to test methodology, and that is to prove methodology used by bioremediation actor based on the principles of bioremediation. So, for example, the first is to look at the SOP of the bioremediation actor, how they do bioremediation, so that we can know whether it has been appropriately done against the internationally acknowledged standards. And then after that, also how to analyze this, because SOP can be correct, but the implementation is not correct. The steps include: first, the sample testing because to see whether it is already complied with the SOP. Survey proves that toxic testing by looking at the site and also faith testing. And the third, the data of the location, to take the location and also to look at the impact toward plants, air, water and humans. And for photos related to bioremediation through the officials from AGO, that bioremediation is a technique to recover the area that is contaminated by using microorganism or microbe as set forth in the Ministerial Decree number 128, 2003, that before doing the bioremediation, you have to check the site characteristic first, the geochemical, the pH level, and the type of the land, and then the quality of contaminated, and then the nature of the flow of water, and the method of measuring the contaminants and initial sampling using lateral and vertical methods. Also to determine the contamination, including the coverage area, the depth of the area, and to determine the impact of the environment caused by or impact on other animated objects. And isolation and identification to the media of environment can degrade the amount of compounds, and to determine that the bacteria amount has to be according to the need. Too much is not, too little is not good, and too much bacteria can die. And to determine the amount of nutrients that has to be given so that bioremediation can happen. So for example, the need for S, TPH, and it should be using the ratio 100 to 15 to 3, and to determine the speed of the degrading microbe, and also to see the tract and by microorganism, so to determine the characteristics and the type of the degrading compounds. For example, if the land is black, then probably it's from asphalt, the yellow from limestone. And the methods can be in situ for bioremediation.